when it comes to Chalmers, at least they have good industrial connect, like with companies like SKF, Volvo Group, cars, and then Polestar. We also got to do some industrial projects in our courses, in some courses where the industry would pitch in some projects which we would undertake. We got to learn their thought process, the softwares they use. So that helped us enable us ourselves to equip ourselves with skills that the industry needs. Yeah,
for your master's?
I didn't want to get stuck in that 9 to 5 work cycle, and I thought I need to take the jump at some point, and then 2 years was a sweet spot, I guess. So yeah, I took the jump to masters. I had Europe in mind, but then I actually did my undergraduate thesis in Sweden through an exchange through an exchange in my university. So I did it in Trollhättan.
Wow.
So I kind of know how it worked here already before applying for masters. So Sweden was my first priority. The total tuition fees for my entire masters was around 25 lakhs. When I converted,
So approximately 12 plus lakhs.
Yeah.
12 plus lakhs per year.
12 plus lakhs per
Okay.
year, and per month my rent was around 32,000 rupees, the room rent.
Mhm.
And then I
Okay.
spent for my expenses was around 14,000 to 16,000 rupees per month.
So close to 50,000 rupees per month.
Yeah,
INR.
they had a title already, and we picked up because it was interesting for us.
Wow. If I may know, what is the title of the project?
It's called Energy Losses in Battery Systems and Countermeasures. So there was an online interview with our supervisor from Volvo cars. It's a funded project, so we get paid at the end of the thesis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, all of you. My name is Shivaraman, Director of Europe Study Center. We have been constantly reaching out to all our successful students to share their journey with us. And many students, they come forward and they wanted to, document their success journey. So today we are going to interview Abhilash, who is, about to finish his studies in Sweden and currently doing his internship with Volvo. Abhilash, welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are really, happy that you accepted to do this interview. To start with, please, Abhilash, introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, my name is Abhilash. I did my bachelor's in Shastra in mechanical engineering, and then I worked for 2 years in IIT Madras, and then I'm doing my MS in sustainable energy in Chalmers, and I'm doing my thesis in Volvo cars right now.
Wonderful. Excellent. So it's like your master thesis.
Yeah,
You're
it's
doing
my
it with
master
Volvo.
thesis. Yeah.
Super. So we will start with your journey. So what did you study in bachelor's? One more time.
I
Our
did
audience at
my
Shastra?
bachelor's in mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. Okay. So was there you were already decided that you would like to do something with reference to energy during your bachelor studies itself, or you got this idea of doing energy systems during your time at IITs?
I was more leaning towards automotive in my masters, but then when I applied, I saw this course, and then I had this as a backup. Actually, I applied for automobile engineering masters in Chalmers as well, but then I took this course, and then when I studied it, I got to know the scope behind the course, and now I'm kind of glad I took this course.
Wonderful, because world always needs more energy.
Yeah.
So invariably it means world needs more of Abhilash because energy is a subject where the population keeps growing. The energy demand and all the other parameters associated with the energy also keep skyrocketing. Wonderful. So first I would like to talk about your work at IIT. So how did you get that, and what you were doing for the 2 years time that you spent inside IITs?
My college friend was actually there already in the same team, so I got through him. I did an interview with the head of the team, and then we were just doing a technical interview, and then he just picked me. So
Okay.
my main work was around designing like electric traction motors. It can go from say a three-wheeler to a drill to a mixer motor. So it was around every field. But yeah, I was designing traction motors.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that was a period for 2 years.
Yeah, it was almost 2 years.
2 years, wonderful. So you had already decided to do your masters during your bachelor's time
Yeah,
at Shastra, or
I had a plan of doing
please?
my masters, but then the course was more towards automotive. Yeah, but I had a plan of doing my masters in my undergraduate itself.
Undergraduates
Mhm.
itself. But since you got this IIT project, meaning IIT assignment, so you postponed it for 2 years.
Yeah, I wanted to gain some work experience and then
Okay,
maybe streamline my field a bit more before I do my masters. Yeah.
wonderful, excellent. So then, once you started this IIT,
Mhm.
you kind of put a full stop. Okay, I think 2 years is enough. Now let me shift gears. Was it so
Yeah,
for your masters?
I didn't want to get stuck in that 9 to 5 work cycle, and I thought I need to take the jump at some point, and then 2 years was a sweet spot, I guess. So yeah, I took the jump to masters.
I guess, right decision at the right time gives you rich dividends. That's what they used to say.
Mhm.
That's a classic example with your case, because me also being a core engineer, I feel we have to do our masters. I personally feel, irrespective of if you have done your bachelor's in India, I'm sure you will have to top up with the master degree so
Mhm.
that you can dig deeper and grow further when it comes to core engineering.
Yeah.
So then, now your master's journey basically. So you had several countries in mind, or only Europe?
I had Europe in mind, but
Okay.
then I actually did my thesis, undergraduate thesis in Sweden, through an exchange through an exchange in my university. So I did it in Trollhättan.
Wow.
So I kind of know
Trollhättan.
how it worked here already before applying for masters. So Sweden was my first priority, but then I had Europe in my mind.
Wonderful. Trollhättan meaning University of West.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Since I studied there, once you tell me the city's name, I will tell you
Mhm.
what is available there basically. Wonderful. So then, so since you are already exposed to the Swedish system, the European system,
Mhm.
so more or less Europe and if possible Sweden. That is what was in your mind
Yeah,
basically
that was in my mind.
when you
Yeah.
started your preparation.
Yep.
Super. So then, how did you find Europe Study Center?
I was just looking for some consultancies for masters because I tried applying on my own before, and I wanted someone who could organize
Support
my
you, guide you.
documents and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I
Wonderful.
needed some role like that. So I talked to ESC, and then that's how we came
So you
upon
processed to which branch, Abhilash? Which branch you processed? Trichy or Chennai?
Chennai one in Pondicherry.
Chennai branch. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I also sit. So then, okay, you got your admit and then you processed all your visa. Swedish visa is a straightforward visa,
Yeah.
not much of a, how to say, headaches or issues basically. So then, when you started your first semester,
Mhm.
you would have easily compared with your studies back home in India and to there. Did you find any changes, or if you did find it, how did you adapt to the Swedish education system?
I feel that it was not spoon fed at all. So we were just introduced to the topics, and then we had to learn more if we were interested. It was not back in my undergrad where we were taught everything. It was just more introduction to the topics, and then you learn through assignments, projects, group work, stuff like that. That was the
Yes.
difference I think I felt.
Wonderful. So basically of self-learning.
Yeah, it was more self-learning. It was more your own interest rather than being stuffed upon. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So do you have to make any changes in your learning pattern for you to be successful with the European education system? How fast did you adapt basically?
It was not tough to adapt because I used to learn on my own my undergrad as well because
Super.
I used to bunk a lot of classes, so I used to learn a lot on my own my undergrad. So that was not very hard to
Excellent.
adapt. And here there is something called group work because they emphasize working in a group rather than you doing it all on your own. So that helped me in some aspects.
Some aspects. Wonderful. Wonderful. So first semester was not a big hurdle for you,
No,
right?
the subjects were tough, but then it was not too tough for me to not do well in them at all. So it was not too tough.
I got it. I got it. Did your experience at the IITs also help you?
I think the people skills I learned helped me, but I think the
Okay.
educational topics were different when compared to my work and here. So I don't think that would go well together.
Wonderful. So as a person, it helped you. But when it comes to the technical front, your
Mhm.
self-learning and the group studies helped you in a bigger way.
Yeah,
That's what you're trying to tell
yeah.
us, correct? Excellent. Very, very neatly and clearly explained. Wonderful. So then, when you talk about the, what made you to make the final decision? Yes, I will take up my career, meaning moving forward. Because whatever you choose in your masters, more or less, is your career, right?
Yeah.
You will be traveling in the same domain. So, how did you zero in on this sustainable energy systems?
Well, I kind of looked at some web searches and then some articles saying that Scandinavia was leading in sustainable like energy with wind, nuclear, and then they're doing some solar as well in
Yes,
the south of Europe. So I thought that if any place is good to study sustainability, it's better here. So that's how I got to choose this.
wonderful, excellent. Plus, since you also did your bachelor's final year
Mhm.
project also in Sweden, I guess everything fell in place for you.
Yeah,
Not much of a, what to say, thinking work needs to be done.
yeah, that's
Excellent.
true. Yeah.
So then I had always been telling in all my interviews, and even today I met a parent.
Mhm.
I was telling them, whichever university you study, it should have amazing, excellent, dedicated, committed professors.
Mhm.
Correct, Abhilash? Please talk about it. The role of a professor in shaping a student.
Yeah, I mean, you find good professors and bad professors as well. The good ones stick with you. So I had someone in my second year. I did a course called Sustainable Electric Power Systems. There was a
Wow. Okay.
professor called Amy Einberg, and he was the best professor here I've ever met. So there are people
Wonderful.
who are really good with you, and he also like has everyone's project in his mind. So every time he talks to an individual, he takes out some extra from their report or something which you don't expect them to do. So there are good and bad professors here, but then you pick the good ones and then don't pick the bad ones.
It's always, we always pick and choose the best ones possible with the best available resources,
Mhm.
basically. So then, when it comes to Chalmers, which I know, but I want you to explain to our audience, many universities back home in India,
Mhm.
okay, I don't want to name them for obvious reasons. They are huge, but Abhilash, zero industrial connection.
Mhm.
Okay. But a top public university or a technical university cannot function without industrial connection.
Yeah.
When it comes to Chalmers, which is located in Gothenburg, which is one of the industrial cities in Sweden,
Mhm.
it's closely work with industries, right? Kindly talk about this particular aspect, industrial connection and the relations with universities.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Chalmers, at least they have good industrial connect, like with companies like SKF, Volvo Group, cars, and
Fab.
then Polestar, stuff
Fab.
like that. Yeah. And we also got to do some industrial projects in our courses, in some courses where the industry would pitch in some projects which we would undertake. It was a short project, but then we got to talk with the employees in the said company, and then we got to learn their thought process, the softwares they used. So that helped us enable us ourselves to equip ourselves with skills that the industry needs.
Exactly, because this is all the more important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent professor with industrial connection. I feel the student literally gets whatever he wants, as long as you always said, if he is keen to learn, explore, and also the self-learning aspect. Don't you think so, Abhilash?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested enough, I think you can make do with anything you've put through. So it all depends on the
Exactly. Plus,
interest
when you
rather
have
than.
these, also, yes, yeah, I 100%
Mhm.
agree. But when you have good professors
Mhm.
and with the industrial connection, it makes your work all the more easier and rewarding. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, like as I said before, it's not being put up on you. So it's just presented to you. It's up to you to put the effort
Exactly.
and take it.
Grab it.
So
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, if you compare,
Mhm.
back home in India and what you study in Sweden, in Chalmers, for example, 3, 4 major differences which you could specify. Back home we do
Mhm.
like this, but here it's completely different. Something like that. 2, 3 points.
Uh, Let me say the similarities I found. We have term exams here
Okay.
as well and term exams in India as well. But we had only one type of term exams in India, which was pen and paper for 3 hours and
Yes.
80 marks or 90 marks. Here it's more less marks. Say you get to write for 40 marks or 30 marks, and then you have only like 4 questions, 5 questions. But then those are really technical questions which you need to answer a lot and then like go into topics that require a lot of effort. And then
Okay.
it's not only pen and paper here. You sometimes have assignments as your final exams. You have projects. You have presentations. So it is not limited to the pen and paper, but it actually depends on the course. If the course is more technical, it's pen and paper. But then if it's more presentation and more data, then it's either project, assignment, or presentation. So they tailor the exams based
Wonderful.
on the courses. And
Mhm.
then the work on the feedback is what I feel, at least in my master's program, because when they take feedback from the
Okay.
students, the next year they actually apply it here. So that's what I see.
Super. Super. Okay.
And then there's more group work here. Like it's not only classes, but then you have your labs, assignments, projects, which is all group work, and they don't like to do it individually here, and they emphasize a lot on doing it as a group of threes, twos, fours. It depends on the course.
Wonderful. Very neatly and excellently summarized basically. And also, Abhilash,
Mhm.
we request all the close to the 1,000 students I send from my 4 offices, Chennai, Trichy, Coimbatore, and Bangalore. I request them, please don't do all these, works which is not related to your studies. For example, like working in a restaurant
Mhm.
or a gas station, all those things, which will dilute your focus and
Mhm.
it will impact your studies. Not for everybody. Some are able to manage it. I'm not telling no.
Yeah.
But in majority of the cases, this doesn't happen. So kindly tell the audience, how important it is to stay focused so that they're able to reach the 30 credits per semester.
Yeah, I mean the 30 credits per semester is important, but then
Yes.
so like at least for me, I think I'm privileged enough to not do my part time and then be
Super.
supported by my parents. But if it's not the case with others, I don't say that no, you shouldn't do part time, but then you should prioritize your studies first and then your part time because you shouldn't go
Exactly.
more into part time and then leave your studies. But then it all depends on one's financial background and stuff like that.
Exactly, because I also studied in Sweden.
Mhm.
So getting a 30 credit, it's not a, it's not that easy.
Mhm.
We need to keep pace and finish the degree on time. And as Abhilash rightly said, nobody is stopping you from doing part-time job. But when you see even 5-10%, it affects your studies. Please,
Mhm.
our aim is to get decent grades with 30 credits.
Yeah.
That is what it is. Wonderful. So you already spoke about examination. So it's not only written, right? You have different form of examinations,
Yeah.
right? Oral examinations or projects. So talk about the assessment. What sort of assessments and all they make? And we cannot memorize and mug up and clear the examination. Only when you understand the concepts, we can clear. So kindly talk about that.
Yeah, at least some technical courses that I faced in my first half semester. those were just, we were introduced to topics and formulas, but then we had the formula book with us, so we don't need to mug up those. We can take them and
Exactly.
then you use them, but then the problems that we got in the exams are more analytical, which should require you to think about the concepts and then apply those and then try to solve them. And when it comes to presentation and stuff, they don't worry too much about the data you have, but or rather than how you present them. So they also value how your presentation is and how good are you able to debate your topics, how good you're able to defend your viewpoints and stuff like that too.
Excellent. So, in a single word, you have to be good at your subject and your learning should be concrete so that you're able to clear these examinations.
Yeah.
Correct, Abhilash? Yeah, we cannot go with half-baked knowledge and get your exams done.
Yeah, no.
Not possible.
No. Yeah.
Excellent. So then now moving on to your final semester. So basically, how does your typical day start? Meaning, what time your classes start, how many classes, lectures, hours it will be, and then, you do self-study coming back home or you stay back at the university. Your typical day, not in your master thesis, during your study time, first 3 semesters, how would it be? Maybe on a typical Monday, how does it start and how does it end?
We didn't have a lot of classes for the whole week. So we had some days where we had no classes at all, and some days where we were back from 8 to 5. So it's usually starts at 8. The classes start 8 and goes till 11:45. And then you have a break in between every 45 minutes of classes. And every class is almost 1.5 hours. So you have a break in between every class. And then the lunch is around from 11:45 to 12:15, I guess. Yeah, 12:15, and then you start your classes again. It goes till 4.
Okay.
But it necessarily doesn't have to be that you go into a lecture hall and then sit. It can also be labs. It can also be your group work. It can also be like assignment doing stuff, kind of like that. So we didn't have a lot of lectures where we go and sit. We had, say, we can only do 2 subjects per half semester. So you had, so you can actually concentrate a lot on each subject if they're hard.
Each subject.
And yeah, we were not, like, how would I put it, is always under pressure. We were free, so we had a lot of free time with us to do anything you wanted to.
Super. Excellent. Amazing. So then now coming to your thesis. So when did you start applying for your master thesis?
I started applying around October, middle of October.
That is during your third sem.
Yeah, I started to get my CV ready, and then I started looking at, I put some alerts on. I was looking at my college thesis portal and seeing some posts. Yeah, I started applying around October, and then I got interviews around November and December. Yeah.
Super. So this was a project which you applied and got it on your own. I mean, master thesis, or your professors or the university helped you?
No,
with contacts and references.
I was applying on the company's job portals, and then they just emailed me, and then it just went to an interview with me and my partner, and then we got the thing.
Excellent. So you 2 people are doing it together.
Yeah.
Okay. He's from which country? Just out of curiousness, I'm asking.
He's from Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, wonderful. It's interesting to work with other country students, right? We get to know so much about their countries. And for example, in your case, their country's energy system. I think it's a rich value addition. Doing projects with other country people.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess which Abhilash should accept. Because I'm telling this point, whenever possible, try to do projects or assignments or master thesis with other country people. So you will learn a lot. I feel this is one of the main objectives of going abroad. So now coming to the question of master thesis title, you proposed something to them or they had a title which you picked up?
No, they had a title already, and we picked up because it was interesting for us.
Wow. If I may know, what is the title of the project?
It's called Energy Losses in Battery Systems and Countermeasures.
Energy?
Energy losses in battery systems and countermeasures.
In countermeasures.
Yeah, and countermeasures. So we need to propose some ways where we avoid these energy losses in the entire battery system.
Excellent, excellent. So it goes very well with your title of your master
Yeah.
program, and you and your friend from Nigeria both were interested, so you grabbed it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had an interview process, or in-face interview, or online interview, then you got it. So how did the process go? Of course, you applied in October, you got a call in November, then what happened?
So there was an online interview our with our supervisor from Volvo cars. So he just introduced the topic to us and asked our backgrounds and our, like, how would you approach this project, any doubts in the project and stuff like that. And we were just openly talking about our approach and how we would handle the problems and which softwares would we use, which software are we interested in using. And then he was uh like talking about his approach and what he had in mind, and then we came to a middle ground, and then he told that he'll interview some more people and then contact us, but then we got the thing.
Excellent, excellent. Now I wanted to ask you a question. So when you're doing your master thesis, you'll be using a lot of tools, applying what all you studied. So do you see what you were studying right now, meaning your syllabus, and what they practice at the industry level? Do you see any gap, or more or less it's the same? What you study and what they practice at the industries?
I think it's more or less the same, but if I should criticize it, there might be a gap of like 2 or 3 years, but it's not too much, which can
Not
be
too much.
bridged a bit like by your own interests, or by joining a industry and then you catching up to it. But yeah, I think they're pretty much on the same time scale.
Wonderful. Because back home in India, excluding the IITs and NITs, what is taught at the industry level? For example, nowadays we are into 3D printing, electric cars, hydrogen cars, plenty of other things, but that you don't find it in the syllabus.
Yeah.
You understand, Abhilash? So what is taught at the industry, what is practiced at the industries should be like, what we taught, what we teach at the university level. That is what I asked this question basically. Yes. So then, so how is the master thesis? By the way, is it a funded project or it's a non-funded master thesis from Volvo?
It's a funded project, so we get paid at the end of the thesis. Yeah, it's a funded project.
Super. Wonderful, wonderful. Because why I asked this is nothing to do with how much they pay. That is not a big deal. But if it's a funded project, it's more serious.
Yeah.
The company invests money. Okay, they will support you. They will be keen to look into your results, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is. Yes, because if it's a non-funded project, it's nothing serious, right? Then it becomes one another project. But when they fund it, whether it's few thousands or whatever it is, but it adds more value. That is why I asked this question. So once you found this project at Volvo, okay, you'll have to approach a guide, right? Who at the university, who will be your guide for the master thesis?
We had to pick
How was that process?
So we just emailed some like our lecturers, and then they were like, we already have some projects with us, so you can ask him. And then we asked our examiner, who's our examiner now, and then he just accepted it. So it was not too complex, it was more straightforward.
More straightforward. Because why I ask this question is, when students are watching this interview, please understand, even if you get a project in a big company, whatever it is, you still have to find a guide who will approve your project so that you are getting your credits end of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Yes. And also, how is for example, I know that, with reference to the company, you will be updating the results on timely way, and all those things you will be following as per their protocols.
Yeah.
So how do you communicate with the professor? It will be on a weekly basis, or a fortnightly basis, or a monthly basis? How it is? How do you update your professor at Chalmers regarding your project in Volvo?
Okay, so it depends on your examiners, but my examiner and us agreed to have a monthly update meeting where we make a presentation of our work and all the updates we have, and share our draft of our thesis report to him 2 days before the print- actual update meeting, and then he just says that you should improve this, change this, work on this, and then it's just like that.
Wonderful. So he constantly gives you inputs and suggestions to fine tune the project.
Yeah,
right?
it's more like
Along with
him overseeing than him participating in it. So it's our job to do the thesis. It's just his job to not make sure that we are not straying away from the actual thing.
actual thing, exactly. Because end of the day, more than Volvo, only when the professor approves your project, you're going to get your degree.
Yes.
Yes. So for me, more than Volvo, I feel, the professor's consent is all the more important, maybe even, equally important.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So you were able to achieve your desired results. The Volvo was happy because I guess you should be at the fag end of documenting your project right now, because we are in the mid of May already.
Yeah, we are finalizing our models now, and then we think we are happy with the output we get.
Results.
Yeah, but then we still need to talk to like our team over there, and then see how much we can improve in the time we have remaining now.
Excellent, excellent. And also, it's important, right, to choose a topic which we can finish it within 6 months, right? When it comes to the master thesis, a lot of people, brother, they become over ambitious and take up a big project and spend several months extra on the same. So kindly talk a little bit about it.
So
please.
The thing my examiner told us first was to draft our conclusions first, so that we work on achieving those, and so that we don't add anything extra in the middle of the work. So that's how we
back end approach.
Yeah, so that's how we were able to not expand our scope, but then be inside our scope. And then because we were two people, sometimes if I stray too far, he says that it's outside our scope, so we don't have to go there. And sometimes it's the opposite. So it actually helped doing it with a partner.
Yes, it's nice, right? Especially from a different country.
Yeah.
We just discussed for what. So one side Volvo supporting you, another side, a professor also guiding you, and plus you have a companion, your friend, I mean, for the project. So it's like I'd say like a joint project, right? From all quarters, and I guess you will venture into different interesting dimensions. It adds to the entire master thesis, right, Abhilash?
Yeah, I mean, the proposal we gave for the project and the approach we did, and the work now that we have been doing is entirely different. So we have been constantly updating our approach to the work, and then so the idea we had at the beginning, say around January, of how it would turn up, and now how it has actually turned up is quite different.
Wonderful. But you're happy.
Yeah,
End of the day, that's what that matters.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, super. So best wishes. So when are you going to present it?
So in Volvo, we have the date on June 5th, and
June 5th.
in Chalmers, it's tentatively June 12th.
June 12th. So you're wrapping up perfectly on time.
Yeah.
Subjects all done, right?
Yeah, subjects are all done. Subjects are all done.
Excellent. Very, very happy, brother. In a university like Chalmers, and doing a subject like sustainable energy systems, and doing your final year project in Volvo, and still finishing the degree on time. Hats off to you. It shows of course, your hard work, commitment, plus moreover the focus. You were very clear, I guess, from day one, what to do, what not to do. This is what I understood with your, talking to you for the past half an hour or so. Yes, that's what I felt. Excellent. So when you're during your subjects, so what are all the interesting subjects for you in your masters?
Okay,
interesting
subjects that I knew was interesting was the one I told in the interview earlier, called sustainable electric power systems. So I had that in my mind since I joined my MS here. So I picked that. That was interesting.
Okay.
But some subjects where I didn't expect, but it turned out to be really good was something called environmental policy instruments. So I thought it'd be more theory talking, but then it was more practical applications. Like we were made into mock nations, like somewhere some countries like we picked India, Canada, US, stuff like that, and we had a mock UN climate session and stuff like that, talking about policy. So that was interesting.
It also talks about life cycle assessment, LCA.
Yeah, I picked LCA, and but then
Super.
the LCA was more online lectures, which I'm not comfortable with. I like it more in person or more hands-on experience. But the topics overall and the work was interesting. And then I studied something called systems engineering, where we worked on a software called Capella, and it was also interesting.
Super. Excellent. So, since I also studied energy engineering, do you see, I have been asking this question to all the students related to, energy whenever I get to do an interview with them. So do you think hydrogen will be a big force going forward in the energy systems, meaning at least with the automobiles, hydrogen as a fuel?
At least in automotive, I don't think hydrogen would play a big role, but around auxiliary services like storage and fuel cells, I think that would actually makes more sense for hydrogen, because storing hydrogen is a big complex deal, because it's odorless, it has interstitial cracking and stuff like that. So storing them in a car while going at say 80 miles per hour is bad. So at least with automobiles, I don't think it's gonna be big. But storage, like stationary applications, yeah.
Wonderful. Recently, we had a professor from Slovakia. They have invented a technology where they can store the hydrogen, the level that is required to store within a vehicles at 2 or 3, pascals pressure, basically. So they don't have to, pressurize it at a very high level, which will cause all this bursting and, it's not safety. Now they have invented a technology where they can store the hydrogen gas inside the car at a very, very minimalistic pressure, which will eliminate the concept of bursting it. So we made these presentations. We went to a lot of colleges and we did these presentations, and students were so keen to learn about hydrogen technology. That's what I wanted to say. So then you're about to finish your master thesis. So already started, applying for jobs?
Yeah, I've been applying for jobs here.
Super.
Yeah.
Excellent. Because we need to do it parallelly. That's why I asked this, because students should not think, okay, I will finish my 3rd semester, then apply for my final project. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it midway. Same applies to the employment also. We should start applying during our master thesis so that we find something. Wonderful. So last question. So other than your studies, to relax your mind, what do you do? Some sports or anything like that?
I swim here a lot. I swim. I go to the gym, and during summers we go for hiking, play some football around. Yeah.
Okay. I guess, Sweden, when you're swimming in the winter, I guess the pools will be equipped to have all these hot water stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because the Sweden weather is like extreme.
Yeah.
Excellent. So very nice talking to you. Any plans of PhD, brother?
No, I don't think I can do a PhD. Yeah.
Wonderful. So that's what, right from the starting of this interview till now, you're very clear, like, what you want to do. So maybe you are now right now applying for positions with reference to energy, right?
Yeah.
Energy engineer and all those.
Yeah, around like energy analyst, environmental engineering, and battery systems, stuff like that. Yeah.
Super. Only within Sweden or entire Schengen?
I'm applying around Europe for now.
That's what, I was talking to, I guess we published that interview 2 days back. There was a student, she studied in Czech. She was just applying for jobs only within Czech Republic. Okay. And 1 or 2 months, nothing moved. Then she applied all over. In a week's time, she got 6-7 offers, basically.
Yeah,
so it's good to explore all over Schengen, which is really good.
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. So as a student, currently, not during your master thesis? I mean, during your student life, parents would love to ask me this question to you. So approximately what was your tuition fees in INR per year in Chalmers, and approximate living expenses per month, meaning the food, accommodation, living, etc.?
Okay, the total tuition fees for my entire master's was around 25 lakhs when I
So
converted.
approximately 12 plus lakhs,
Yeah,
12 plus lakhs per year.
12 plus lakhs per
Okay.
year. And per month, my rent was around 32,000 rupees, the room rent.
Mhm.
And then I
Okay.
spent for my expenses was around 14,000 to 16,000 rupees per month.
So close to 50,000 rupees per month,
Yeah.
INR.
Yep.
You need to have a basic, proper living. Yes. For you during your studies.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. It was great talking to you, and best wishes to you. And thanks for spending time on your weekend. Even though you have a thesis to present in a maximum 2-3 weeks time, you came forward and did this. And when I saw the topic, what you were studying, I was really excited, because as I told you in the pre-talk, I also studied the kind of a similar subject to what you are studying right now. So best wishes to you, Abhilash, and thank you so much. And before we conclude this interview, if at all anybody is looking at planning to do their mechanical or energy systems, any last few words to them before we conclude this interview?
If they're interested, I guess they should apply. I don't see how my opinion would change anything for them. So
I mean to say, look into these topics, these subjects are really interesting, or many not looking at it, something like that. I mean, subject wise.
Subject wise, I would say look more into wind energy if they're going to come here, because Sweden dominates in wind. And batteries is also a good field to look at. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I meant, some subject topics where they can, study more and get more inspired. As you rightly said, only if they are inspired and they are motivated enough, everything matters.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's all in their hands. So wonderful. Nice talking to you. Best wishes to you. And thanks for giving your time to do this interview. I'm sure people are planning studies related to energy systems. This would be of great value addition to them. Yeah. Thank you so much, and best wishes to you.
Thank you for hosting me. Yeah.